Okay, so hello, my name is Zach, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to Zack Wing Music. Today we're going to be continuing our series called Jazz for the Rest of Us, where we take jazzy concepts and apply them to non-jazzy styles of music. The first 5 videos of this series, I think it was 5, were primarily about chords and chord progressions and harmonies and coming up with cool chords and cool chord progressions and stuff like that. I'm not sure, but I think I'm pretty much done with chords as far as this series is concerned. I might have some ideas come to mind later, but for now, I think we're done with chords. So now we're going to be moving into rhythm. We're going to be talking about stuff rhythmically that jazz guys do that we can steal and use in our rock music and our funk music and all that stuff. So we're going to have a few videos on rhythm, and then we're going to get into some cool stuff with soloing and improvisation, and that's going to be really fun. So let's get started with today's video on polyrhythms. So let's dive right in. What is a polyrhythm? Well, I actually didn't look this up to make sure that I was using all the right terms, so now I'm really just talking off the top of my head here. But when I use the word polyrhythm, what I mean is superimposing one rhythm on top of another rhythm. What the crap am I talking about? Well, let's find out. So let's say that we are playing something or counting, rather. Let's say that we are counting something in eighth notes. What do I mean by eighth notes? For those of you who don't know, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. You have that. You can divide those up into eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you would be taking the 1, 2, 3, 4, that measure, and dividing it up into, instead of 4, into 8. So what if we were to play a note every 3 eighth notes? So I have my handy dandy little metronome down here. And 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you would divide this up into 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. What if we played a note every 3 eighth notes? It would sound like this. Ready? Go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3, like that. Normally, that would be divided up into 2s or 4s or something like that, which you might call a duple rhythm, but we're taking and superimposing some sort of 3 on top of the 2 or on top of the 4. And that, my friends, is a polyrhythm. So I'm going to give you an example of what that would look like in kind of a more jazz style, a more jazzy situation. So I have recorded on my little looper down here. I said I have a metronome. That's a lie. That's a big lie. I have a looper. I have recorded on my looper a 2-5-1 in the key of C. So it's a D minor, G dominant, C major. And I'm going to play every 3rd eighth note. So it's going to be this fast. It's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and like that. And I'm going to play every 3rd eighth note. So that would sound like this. Like that. So that's kind of boring, of course. But you could incorporate that into something a little more exciting. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to improvise a solo on top of those chords and then use that polyrhythm at the end as kind of like an exclamation point on the end of it all. So that would sound something like this. Like that. And right now we're counting in eighth notes, so it's kind of going slow. If we wanted to count in 16th notes, the whole thing would go a little faster. For those of you who don't know, we count quarter notes 1, 2, 3, 4. We count eighth notes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We count 16th notes 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So with our example right here, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, like that. And I'm going to be playing every 3rd 16th note. So just playing every 3rd 16th note would sound like this. Now I'm going to solo, and then I'm going to start with just a normal solo, and then go into the polyrhythm, and then come back out of it. So you can see how you can use this polyrhythm thing to really come up with some cool stuff in your solos and in your melodies and stuff. But there's like a bazillion different kinds of polyrhythms. That's one. So play, a note every 3/16 notes or every, 3/8 notes or something like that. But you could also do something like in whole phrases that don't quite fit into the measure or fit into 2 or 4 measures. So I'm going to play a 3-note phrase. I'm going to go like that. And I'm going to play it in 8th note. So I'm going to say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because those notes don't quite fit inside of 1 measure or 2 measures or something like that, it is superimposing one rhythm on top of another, and thus we can call that a polyrhythm. You could do the same thing in 16th notes. That would be much faster. 1, 2, da, 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 da. Something like that. I messed up right there at the end. So on both of these examples, we took 3s and superimposed them on top of 4s. And one of them, I was playing just the first note of a group of 3, because I was playing every 3/16 notes or every 3/8 notes. That's still a group of 3. And in the second one, I just played a note on every beat, but it was in clear, distinct groups of 3 notes. So on both of these, we are taking 3s and putting them on top of 4s. You could also, if you wanted, take, 5 and put it on top of 4s. So I could play a 5-note phrase and put a note on every 8th note, and that would be weird. I could take a 5-note phrase and put a note on every quarter note, and that would be weird. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to play this phrase right here. It's a 5-note phrase, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I do it in quarter notes, if I do it in 16th notes, it would be really fast. So I'm going to do it in 8th notes so that it makes a little more sense on the camera. So here's our 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and I can move it around. There was a bad note in there. Did you catch that? So because we're counting in 4s, anything that's not a 4, a 3, or a 5, you can superimpose it on top of the 4s and come up with some really cool stuff. So just another example. I'm going to do something I've literally never done this in my life. I'm going to play a 3-note phrase I'm going to put a note on every 8th note. I'll do 8th notes. And then I'm going to rest on the next 2 8th notes. So it'll be note, 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 rest, rest. And thus I have a 5 8th note sequence that I'm going to try to cram on top of this 2, 5, 1. So that would sound like this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to record like a funk thing, and I'm going to try to actively use 3s and 5s and stuff on top of the funk thing, which will be in 4/4, and I'll try to put it on the screen and kind of let you know what I'm doing. So I'm going to improvise a solo on top of it and try to show you what I'm doing on the screen. So the chords I'm going to be using are D7 and G7. So there's 2 dominant chords, just basic, groovy, funky kind of thing. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there you go. There's a lot of examples for you. You can take sets of 3 or sets of 5 and play them back to back on top of 4, and then you get some really cool polyrhythms going on. But You can do the same thing with triplets. So what is a triplet? So instead of going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, that would be eighth notes. You would go how do we want to go? 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, or triplet, 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 triplet. You take that quarter note or an eighth note, you take something and divide it. Instead of 2, you divide it into 3. When you go from a quarter note to an eighth note to a 16th note, we're dividing everything into 2. You could also take those notes and divide them into 3s. So with this funk thing that I was just doing, if I were to play triplet eighth notes, it would sound 3, 4. There's our quarter note. 2, 3, 4. Da 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 da. There's some triplets. I can't talk and do it at the same time. So triplets obviously naturally occur in groups of 3. That's why we call them triplets. But what if we were to take triplets and group them into the groups of 4? What if we were to do that? So instead of going, I'm going to count them like this just to make it a little easier. I'm going to count 1 triplet. Some people count triplet. I'm going to count 1 triplet so we know which number we're on. So instead of going 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, instead of counting like that, I'm going to go 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, like that. So I'm going to emphasize every 4th triplet. What would that sound like? Well, that would sound like this. Normal triplets would be, but if I group them in, I can't talk and do it at the same time, but if I group them in 4s, so this is 3s, this is 4s. Right? That's pretty cool. But you can also do it in 2s, so you can emphasize every other note in a triplet phrase. And that would sound really cool as well. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to play 2 notes back to back, da 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 da, just like that. But I'm going to play them in triplets. So it's not going to fit inside the triplet. It's going to overlap. We're going to be superimposing a 2 on top of a 3. Let's see how that sounds. So this is my normal triplet. This is 3 notes. Triplet, triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, just like that. But what if I were to do it in just 2s? So if we're counting in 4s, like we do with 16th notes or 8th notes or something, you can take 3s and 5s and stuff and superimpose them on top of that. If we are doing triplets, you can superimpose 2s or 4s on top of your triplets. And that covers, I don't know, most 90% of the triplets that are used in most kinds of music. So rather than showing you individual examples of ways that you can use this in your music. Obviously, you can use this in all kinds of music. I'm just going to solo again, and I'm going to try to use as many kinds of polyrhythms as I can, both of the triplet variety and of the duple variety. And then we're going to be done. So, let's do it. Did I use them all? I think I used them all. So there you have it, polyrhythms. I was thinking about doing this as 2 separate videos, one for the triplets and one for the duple rhythms, but I was like, forget it. Just right now, as I was recording this video, I said, forget it. Let's do it all as one video. So if you liked the video, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe, follow me on Instagram, like me on Facebook, share all my stuff, tell all your friends about me, all that good stuff, because it would really encourage me to make more videos if I knew that people watched them and gave a crap about them. So give a crap, and I will make more videos. That's my word. We're going to have a few more videos in this series about rhythm, and then we're going to be getting into soloing and improvisation and stuff, and that's going to be really fun. So until next time, thank you for watching.